Imagine your belly as a quiet messenger, appearing slowly while your routines still look unchanged. It does not shout, it does not ache, it simply settles in and calls itself aging. Yet beneath that silence, a deeper signal is forming, and it speaks the language of hormones. You notice tighter waistbands and slower mornings, and you assume time has finally caught you. But here is the unsettling question, whispered beneath the skin, waiting for your attention. What if this growing ring of fat is not a passenger, but a biochemical announcement? Researchers from Harvard Medical School describe visceral fat as an active endocrine tissue influencing hormonal balance. Their work shows that abdominal fat does not simply store energy, it participates in metabolic decision-making. And within that battlefield, falling testosterone becomes the first domino that shifts everything out of rhythm. You may feel steady on the outside, yet your inner energy economy is quietly reorganizing itself. Testosterone once acted like a metabolic accelerator, guiding how your cells produced and used fuel. NIH-supported studies report that lower testosterone is linked with reduced mitochondrial efficiency in muscle tissue. Those mitochondria are your microscopic power plants, and suddenly their lights begin to flicker and dim. It feels subtle at first, like losing half a step on a staircase you once mastered. But here is the twist you might not expect, and it changes the story completely. The fat around your waist is unusually sensitive to hormonal imbalance compared to fat elsewhere in your body. Clinical reviews from the Mayo Clinic explain that visceral fat responds rapidly to endocrine disruption and stress signals. So, while your habits may barely change, your abdominal fat reacts faster than your intentions can adapt. It grows not as a passive cushion, but as an informed participant in your biology. You are not simply storing calories. You are entering a quiet metabolic negotiation you never consented to. And with every inch gained, that negotiation tilts further away from your metabolic resilience. This is why the belly appears first, long before your motivation or discipline ever falter. Because the messenger arrived early, carrying news from a hormone that has begun to fade. In the next chapter, we will reveal how this silent shift weakens your muscles and drains recovery. But for now, remember this. Your belly is not cosmetic change. It is an early signal calling for awareness. You begin to feel tired after workouts that once left you energized and quietly alive. Recovery stretches longer than expected, and your strength feels like sand slowly slipping through your fingers. You tell yourself it is aging, workload, or a busy season pressing against your schedule. But beneath that explanation, a deeper biological chain reaction has already begun unfolding inside your tissues. Researchers from the Endocrine Society describe low testosterone as a primary trigger for accelerated muscle loss. Their reports show reduced protein synthesis signals in muscle fibers when hormonal support begins to decline. With every gram of muscle you lose, your resting metabolic rate drops like a fading engine. Your body burns fewer calories at rest, even when your meals look exactly the same. And here comes the first mini-hook, the question your metabolism keeps asking in silence. If your engine weakens, where does the unused energy go when your muscles no longer claim it? It settles into your abdomen, because the abdomen has already volunteered to store what muscles surrendered. This is the domino effect, where shrinking muscle quietly invites expanding fat to take its place. But the story deepens further, and this is where the real twist begins emerging. Visceral fat does not simply sit still, it releases inflammatory molecules that travel throughout your body. Harvard-affiliated reviews on metabolic inflammation describe these signals as chemical smoke rising from abdominal fat depots. They drift toward your liver, your blood vessels, and even the neural circuits shaping mood and motivation. You may notice irritability, lowered drive, or mental fog, and assume stress is the only culprit. Yet, inflammation has reached your brain, nudging behavior and energy before you ever realize the connection. Meanwhile, those same inflammatory signals interfere with how your cells respond to testosterone still circulating in blood. NIH researchers describe this as receptor resistance, where the key remains present, but the lock stiffens. You hold the hormone, yet the doorway to its benefits refuses to fully open anymore. It is like carrying a map through a landscape where every road has quietly disappeared. So you work harder, rest longer, and still feel your progress move in reverse. And the frightening truth is this: inflammation protects the fat while slowly weakening your ability to fight it. In the next section, we will uncover how insulin joins this conflict and traps fat even tighter. But for now, recognize this moment, because the dominoes are already falling inside your muscles and your mind. You cut calories, you skip late dinners, and you wait for your waistline to respond. Yet the mirror barely changes, and your belly seems to ignore every disciplined decision you make. This is the moment when frustration turns into doubt, and you begin questioning your own effort. But beneath that doubt lies a deeper biochemical conflict, a tug-of-war happening inside your metabolism. Researchers from Stanford Medicine describe low testosterone as a driver of reduced insulin sensitivity in tissues. When your cells become less responsive, your pancreas compensates by releasing more insulin to manage blood sugar. Insulin arrives like a strict gatekeeper, delivering one unwavering command to your body's energy reserves: store first, burn later, protect the fuel. Do not release it under any circumstance. And here comes the twist that explains why many diets fail before results ever appear. High insulin locks fat inside your abdomen, especially within visceral stores surrounding your organs. Clinical reviews from the Mayo Clinic refer to visceral fat as insulin-reactive and metabolically stubborn. So even when you eat less, your body refuses to unlock the very fuel you need. You feel tired during workouts because the stored energy never makes its way back to your muscles. Meanwhile, elevated insulin does not simply trap fat. It sends signals that further suppress testosterone production. Endocrinology reports describe this as a feedback loop where hormonal imbalance reinforces metabolic resistance over time. You are not failing your diet. Your biology has shifted into a defensive conservation mode. And this is where the frightening truth quietly emerges behind your daily attempts at discipline. Your hunger signals become louder. Your cravings lean towards sweetness, and your energy dips between meals. The body is not sabotaging you out of laziness. It is obeying a biochemical survival script. But here is the real twist, one that reshapes how you interpret every stalled fat loss attempt. Low testosterone and high insulin are not separate problems. They are two hands pulling the same rope. They tighten the knot around your abdomen while convincing you the issue is simply willpower. You are standing inside a metabolic storm where effort alone cannot outrun hormonal resistance. In the next chapter, we will descend deeper into the belly itself, where fat becomes a hormone factory. Because the abdomen is not only storing energy now, it is rewriting your hormonal future from within. You may think belly fat simply exists as storage, silent, passive, and harmlessly sitting in place. But here is the counterintuitive truth. Abdominal fat behaves less like padding and more like a living organ. Harvard Medical School publications describe visceral fat as metabolically active tissue with its own endocrine behavior. It listens, it signals, and it slowly changes the hormonal language flowing through your bloodstream every day. Inside this tissue lives an enzyme that rewrites the identity of your hormones from the inside. Scientists call it aromatase, a microscopic chemist converting precious testosterone molecules into estrogen within fat cells. The NIH has documented how aromatase activity increases in abdominal fat as weight and age progress. That means the very place storing your fat is also draining the fuel supporting your masculinity. Here comes the real twist. Your body is not just losing testosterone, it is actively transforming it. Every conversion shifts the balance, tilting your internal scale toward an estrogen-dominant environment over time. And once estrogen rises, your body receives signals that encourage even more fat to remain in storage. This creates a self-feeding loop, where belly fat builds the factory that produces conditions for more fat. Researchers in endocrinology describe this cascade as a reinforcing spiral between adipose tissue and hormonal suppression. You are not only fighting weight gain, you are fighting a chemistry lab operating beneath your skin. The enzyme does not ask for permission. It simply performs its task again and again without pause. And the frightening truth is this: every new layer of fat expands the factory walls a little further. Your testosterone lowers, your motivation dips, your vitality fades, and the spiral tightens around your metabolism. Yet, the story carries another hidden layer, one that rarely appears in simplified health advice. Estrogen shifts can also influence mood, confidence, and the way your body responds to effort. You may feel less assertive in training, less driven, less anchored in physical presence and momentum. And you might assume this is personality or aging, not realizing chemistry is quietly shaping behavior. But here is the deeper paradox. The more your hormones shift, the harder change begins to feel. Not because you lack discipline, but because your biology has rewritten the rules of engagement. This is the moment many people give up, believing their body has chosen a permanent direction. Yet, our journey is not ending here, because another system is waiting beneath the surface. In the next section, we will uncover how your metabolism can still awaken its ancient defenses. And we will explore how the body remembers strength, even when chemistry seems to work against you. Your body may feel trapped in this spiral, yet deep inside, an older biological intelligence still waits. It is the same intelligence that guided your ancestors through scarcity, migration, and long seasons of survival. Researchers from the University of California describe this capacity as metabolic flexibility, the ability to shift fuel systems. When conditions change, your cells can relearn how to access fat, energy, and resilience from within. But here is the quiet truth: this flexibility does not awaken when insulin remains constantly elevated. It reappears when your body senses a different rhythm, one that restores balance instead of storage. In low testosterone states, mitochondria behave like dimmed furnaces, burning fuel slowly and inefficiently over time. Harvard physiology research has shown that improving metabolic flexibility can help these cellular engines rekindle activity. You are not forcing your body to change. You are reminding it how to remember its original design. And here comes a subtle aha moment. Fat is not only a burden, it is also a dormant energy archive. When your hormonal storm begins to calm, the archive finally starts opening its sealed vaults again. Energy flows back toward your muscles. Your movements feel lighter, and your effort begins to matter. This is the moment when many people describe an unexpected shift, not louder strength, but quieter clarity. Because as your cells recover responsiveness, inflammation retreats, and your mind emerges from biochemical fog. The NIH has reported that reductions in visceral inflammation can improve mood, motivation, and cognitive sharpness. You begin noticing details again, the calm steadiness in your thoughts, the return of internal momentum. And yet, here is the real twist. The first transformation happens long before the mirror changes. Your physiology stabilizes first, your metabolism reorganizes, and your system lays foundations beneath the surface. This phase can feel invisible from the outside, yet it is the most decisive turning point within. Your body is not chasing rapid change, it is rebuilding trust with its own biological rhythm. And that trust allows testosterone signaling to become useful again, instead of being blocked by inflammation. You may find your recovery improving, your sleep deepening, and your willpower requiring less effort, not because discipline has increased, but because resistance has finally begun to dissolve from the inside. But here is the question that lingers. Can this awakening truly hold against years of hormonal decline? In the final chapter, we will step into the realm of resilience, caution, and empowered responsibility. Because understanding the science is only the beginning, the real journey lies in how you apply it. You have walked through the storm, you have seen the chemistry, and you now recognize the pattern. Low testosterone does not simply add belly fat. It reshapes the conversation between every organ in your body. It affects your muscles, your mood, your metabolism, and the silent negotiations happening inside each cell. And yet, here is the final insight. Biology is not a prison sentence. It is a dialogue. The Mayo Clinic reminds us that testosterone health is influenced by sleep, inflammation, metabolic control, and medical conditions. Your body responds not to shortcuts or extremes, but to consistent signals that restore internal balance. This is where wisdom becomes more powerful than intensity, and awareness becomes stronger than force. You no longer chase hacks or miracles. You begin listening to the messages your body has been sending. Because belly fat was never only a cosmetic concern, it was a biological signal asking for attention. And here comes a crucial moment of caution. Not every man should pursue aggressive hormonal intervention. Harvard Health Publishing emphasizes that testosterone therapy requires clinical diagnosis, medical supervision, and evaluation of underlying causes. There are conditions where treatment helps, and others where lifestyle or metabolic care must come first. Your journey is not about racing toward numbers. It is about aligning physiology with long-term health. And that means honoring your body as a system, not a machine to be overridden by willpower. You begin valuing recovery as much as effort, nourishment as much as discipline, and rest as much as strength. Because resilience does not arise from pushing harder, it grows from rebuilding harmony within your internal networks. Here is the real empowerment: when inflammation falls, when insulin quiets, when signaling clears again. Your muscles respond, your energy steadies, your confidence returns not as noise, but as grounded presence. You are not chasing youth, you are reclaiming authorship over the story your body was writing without you. And this realization carries a spark of ancient philosophy. The body is not separate from the self. It is a living archive of choices, experiences, stresses, and moments of renewal across time. When you learn to interpret its whispers, you no longer fear change, you begin guiding it. So, the question now shifts from fear to responsibility. What signals will you choose to send next? Because every breath, every night of sleep, every act of care becomes a quiet vote for your future. And the true victory is not rapid transformation, it is the patient return to your deepest biological rhythm.